Shopping secondhand is truly an art. Whether you're treasure hunting through your local thrift store or scrolling on Facebook Marketplace, there is just always a secondhand gem just waiting to be discovered. But how do you know what's worth your time and money? In this video, I'm going to show you how to shop like a pro by giving you my 5 expert tips when it comes to finding quality pieces that are going to elevate your home decor while not breaking the bank. From understanding materials to spotting statement shapes and recognizing unique craftsmanship, I'll show you everything you need to know to turn those secondhand finds into showstoppers. So let's dive in and start thrifting smarter. In my opinion, one of the best features of a secondhand piece is actually an unforgettable silhouette. A great example of this is curved lines. Lots of very generic furniture is always going to be quite angular and have very straight shapes. So when you are looking for that gem of a secondhand piece, if you find something that has very unique and curved lines, this can be a showstopper in your home. And this is especially true with materials we usually only see done with flat lines. So things like wood or concrete, it's usually just very smooth and angular. So when you see a curved line or a round shape to these pieces, this is really what's going to give it that unique feel in your home. And on the other hand, unique geometric shapes are another great silhouette to look out for. These could be interesting angular details or even asymmetry when it comes to two coordinating pieces in your space. And it's just a really fun and playful way of incorporating these types of silhouettes. Using bold colors is another great way to elevate a secondhand piece. I find this works especially well if you have a certain type of furniture that you really like to purchase secondhand, but your home is starting to feel just a little bit repetitive. So a lot of times this can happen if you're somebody who's really into mid-century modern pieces. You might be incorporating a lot of walnut and just very vintage looking items in your home. So a fun DIY might be to find a secondhand piece that you're really drawn to, but changing it up by adding just a very bold color or finish to the piece to really elevate it and give it that unique look amongst the rest of your mid-century modern items. And one of my favorite ways to do this is actually with lacquered paints. I just find it's such a nice touch if you're going out of your way to add a bold pop of color to a piece of furniture. By giving it that high gloss look, it's really going to stand out in the space and really just kind of look like a jewel. And along this line, sometimes when you're shopping secondhand, you actually find other people's kind of DIY duds, or maybe they had a piece that they tried to put an interesting finish or color on and it didn't quite turn out, but the piece itself is still beautiful. Often you can find these items at a majorly reduced price because they might look a little rough around the edges or slightly ugly. But this is a great opportunity to take that piece at a discount and add your own spin and correctly do this type of DIY. It's just a great way to transform a piece, and it actually gives you a little bit of pride when you're showing it off and telling people how you achieved the look. And of course, one of the best examples of transforming a piece in this way is actually going to be through reupholstery. I think this works especially well when it comes to vintage soft seating. Usually the piece itself has a very unique lines and a great shape to it, but usually it's done in a very dated fabric, or it's just so old that maybe the fabric just isn't holding up. It could have a smell to it, it could have stains on it. So by purchasing a piece maybe at a discount because of the fabric that's covering it, and then taking it to a reupholstery shop, or even doing your own DIY upholstery to that piece, can really just transform it and breathe new life into such a nice vintage item. Your home is also going to feel more curated when you start identifying some of your favorite styles and some iconic pieces from those styles. I actually have a series here on my channel where I deep dive through some of the different design styles out there and highlight themes throughout each style, so it makes it easier to identify what your favorite styles are and what to look out for when you're actually out shopping for them. Shopping in this way is also going to allow your home to feel a little bit more collected, and it's just fun when people come over and ask you about certain pieces. You're able to communicate to them about your personality, the styles you like, and the fun that went into sourcing each item that you've brought into your home. Furniture with sculpted legs, chunky bases, or tapered feet instantly make a piece feel more intentional. Some of my favorite elements to look out for when I am shopping secondhand is actually ball and claw feet or even brass caster wheels. These are the types of details that you really don't get on mass-produced furniture. They're usually found more so on antiques, vintage items, or even purchasing an item at a really high-end store. So when you find them when you're out searching secondhand, it's kind of a clue that this is a unique piece or that this is something of high value. Another great example of this would be pedestal bases. I love keeping my eye out for these elements simply because when you're decorating your home, sometimes when you look around at your furniture pieces, they can start to feel a little bit leggy, like there's too many individual legs going on. So by incorporating pieces that have pedestal bases, this is really just going to help simplify the room, and it's really going to make that piece feel like a statement. And legs are actually a great detail to DIY as well. I find you can add a lot of visual interest through painting the legs a bold pop of color or even going with a fun pattern. Recently, I've been seeing lots of stripe detail on legs. Whether or not it's through neutral colors or bold pops of color, this is a really nice way of making a piece feel very unique, and it would be a super simple DIY to do on a secondhand find. I always keep my eye out for pieces that incorporate multiple different materials. Generally, when you're looking at mass-produced or very cheap furniture, it's only ever going to have one material or one color. So when you are out shopping secondhand and you see a piece that has hints of multiple different finishes, this is a cue, again, that it's either a very unique piece or it's probably high-end. One of my favorite secondary materials is actually glass. This is usually done with either a wood or a metal base and then a glass top. Incorporating glass with some of these harder materials is instantly going to elevate a piece, and it's going to make it feel just a little bit lighter in your space as well. My favorite pieces that incorporate multiple different materials are the ones that use these materials in unexpected ways. This really allows you to take that accent material and highlight it in other ways around your space, and this is really just going to allow that piece to pop in the space and kind of be highlighted throughout some of the other elements as well. Achieving that layered material look on a piece can also be a really simple DIY project. I always see metal side table bases when I'm out secondhand shopping. Usually they've had some sort of a glass top that's broken or missing, and I find this is a really nice item to actually go and get recut. Or even you could elevate it further by opting for marble, just getting a marble slab cut and replacing that where the glass would have been. Another nice way of achieving that mixed material look is actually by finding a piece that incorporates different finishes of the same material. So whether that's a wood piece that incorporates a few different stain options, or even a mixed metal piece that incorporates a few different colors of metals. Not only does this allow the piece to feel unique, but it also allows you some creative freedom to pull colors and tones from this piece when you're decorating the rest of your space. Now, if you're truly interested in elevating your secondhand finds, one of my top tips is simply just to flip the piece over and check if there is either a maker's mark or a label. Generally, if you're shopping on Facebook Marketplace, if the piece is labeled, usually this will have a higher price tag associated with it. But specifically at the thrift store, I don't typically find them to be as discerning if an item has some sort of a label or an identifier at the bottom, and usually you can find these pieces for a great price. These labels are also really cool because often it will tell you who made the piece, if it was handmade, and usually the country of origin. This can be really cool, especially if you're into something like mid-century modern items and you find an antique piece that actually comes from Denmark. Even for myself, I actually have a pair of mid-century modern armchairs in my living room here. I purchased them secondhand off of Facebook Marketplace, and one of my favorite things about them is they do have a maker's tag at the bottom, which does indicate that they were actually made here in Canada. And just because a piece doesn't have a maker's tag or a label doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't handcrafted. I always like to open up drawers and look for dovetail joinery, or on any type of wooden furniture, you often can find some pretty unique joinery configurations that are going to indicate that it is a high-end piece. And when in doubt, use the Google Lens feature. This is a great option when you are thrifting and you flip a piece over and you see a maker's tag or a label. Even if you see some sort of unique joinery, you can always snap a photo of this and do a quick Google search and just see what type of joinery it is, what era of furniture it might be, and even how expensive that piece is when it's selling on something like Etsy or on a secondhand vintage site. One of the best benefits about shopping secondhand is actually by getting high-end quality at a budget price point. So if you're looking to thrift like a pro, I would strictly keep your eyes out for honest materials. So these would be things like authentic wood pieces, genuine leather, actual metal materials. And that's not to say that you can't purchase plastic items. Some of my favorite vintage finds are actually acrylic pieces. The goal that you want to keep in mind here is that the materials are coming across as authentic and honest. You're not trying to purchase an item that's made of a certain material that's meant to look like a different material. One of the best parts about purchasing secondhand in this way is that as these pieces age, they actually get a natural patina to them that you just can't get when you're purchasing something brand new from the store. And I would say the goal of somebody who is purchasing pieces secondhand is that you want your home to feel very lived in and for your pieces to have character and have a story. And by purchasing materials that have kind of this aged and patina look to them, this is really going to give you that effect in your home. And when you take this approach to your furniture, it really does allow your home to feel quite casual and relaxed, and it's going to give you that warm and welcoming feeling that most of us are trying to achieve. Some of my most favorite honest materials are actually natural fibers. I am a huge fan of finding secondhand textiles. I specifically love hand knotted wool area rugs. You can find these in so many different colors and patterns, and even if it is a vintage or older style wool rug, I find there are just so many great ways of cleaning up the rug and refreshing it and making it look just absolutely brand new. And if you are somebody who finds you heavily use lots of woods or stone in your furniture pieces, opting for other natural materials like rattans or jutes, this can just be a really nice way of breaking up some of the heavier and darker materials in your space, and it can add just a little bit more levity in the room as well. And that's how you thrift like a pro. Whether you're shopping in-store or online, these tips are really going to help you identify those hidden gems and fill your home with pieces that are unique and have tons of character. Be sure to let me know which one of these tips was your favorite in the comments, and I would love to hear about your most iconic thrift store finds. If you enjoyed this video or you found these tips helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.